Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ben and Noah Show. I'm Ben Sofer.
And I'm Noah Lien. And today we were just, we're catching up as we usually do.
Mhm.
It's hard for you guys to imagine this, but we're friends, like off camera too. So we kind of talk. And oh, okay, all right, dude. But we were just
We're
looking at
friends. We're
we
friends.
we're friends,
Yeah.
yes. But the big thing was that we were realizing that it's about a year and a week or so with some change
Yeah.
since we last graduated. And now we're postgraduates.
Yep.
But I brought this question about what would you tell yourself a year ago if you could, with all the experience that you've had for this year. Is there anything that you would like to tell your past self? And when I was reflecting for myself, I was thinking more like in the terms of maybe job outlook or life outlook, and I think that uh, for me personally, I didn't really. There was so much that happened in this year that
Yeah.
I was kind of all over the place, but Ben brought something up really interesting about his own perspective with jobs and finances. Ben, you want to share that?
Well, okay, from my perspective, when I graduated, I the only thing I really knew was where I was going to be,
Mm,
which was New
yep.
York. It just kind of aligned with my family pattern and my career options. Like even if I wanted to be in entertainment or doing, XYZ, like there's so much in New York and I just had a good launch pad, so I knew I was going to do that. Um I I kind of learned the hard way what the media industry is like, and that it's just very different from what I had initially envisioned. Because when I was in school, I
Like school as in Emory.
at
Okay.
Emory, I loved studying the media, and to this day, I still do. I mean, it is such a cool subject. I mean, to be able to look at what each company is doing, the effect that it has, the residual effects that it has on businesses, on people who are watching, on artists. I mean, it's so cool, and it just influences everything. Um, but I think there was a part of me that, as I was graduating, I sort of, in addition to how bad the job market was, I was sort of standing at this intersection between, you know, creative outlet, and working for a Fortune 500 company.
I hear
And
what you mean.
I sort of learned that, as I was kind of like seeing people doing what they do, like not necessarily now, but for people like later in their 30s and their 40s, that like I sort of started asking myself, like, is that really where I want to be 20 years down the line? And I kind of realized, like, you know the thing that I really love about entertainment is performing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not some other thing where I can be next to it. It's not PR, it's not marketing. It is performing through and through. And it took me a lot of time and a lot of job applications to realize that. But eventually, it got to a point where once I did start getting them, I honestly didn't want them.
Huh.
I like the best example I have is um, I one of the first opportunities I got was a few months ago for the an internship with Disney. And
Whoa.
I had been through so much of my own, like, personal experience. I had networked and everything. I finally landed this, and then I got the email, and I was like, I don't want to do it. This isn't me. I
What
mean,
what what role? Like what were you doing in
it's called a Disney College program. So I would have been
Oh, yeah,
down
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Orlando,
Uh-huh.
basically working at the theme
And
park
that's a
at Disney
1 year
World.
program, is that it?
It
Oh,
can be, but it's usually like 6 months. A
okay.
lot of recent grads are doing it now. They're really opening it for recent grads. But really, what it is they're just looking for people who can do entry level work.
But
Yeah.
it's more like the mascots and the
The mascots, the back end stuff, the operations, that kind of thing. I wasn't crazy about it for a couple of reasons. One, the living situation. You have no say in who you live with. You don't. There's not as much privacy as you would ordinarily get. And me, like, I live at home. I know how much
Yeah.
I'm bringing in. I know, the freedom that I have. Like, from the cost benefit analysis, it's just not, it wasn't really a better move. And then the other side of it is the career advancing part. And once I had realized that, this isn't necessarily the thing that I want to do every day, it's not really a point of me doing it, right?
I hear you.
So, because what I realized was I like performing. I like being on stage. I like, doing a sketch comedy and, a little bit of stand up. Where am I going to do that? New York City. And I'm already there. So I kind of realized, like, look, I'm kind of in a better spot here. If I'd gotten an internship with Disney in New York or any of these companies, honestly, I don't know that I'd take it right now. And look, that's just me. I mean, we're going to be talking to somebody, or we have talked to somebody, whenever we decide to release this, named Erin Devine. She's a page at NBC, and as far as I know, she loves it. But we all have different goals, and for me, like, if I'm gonna one thing that I've realized, and I do this is a long-winded way of saying what I wish I knew when I graduated, which is, if I'm going to be in entertainment, I want to be the entertainment. I don't want to be working around it. I don't want to be analyzing it, for a company. I want to be doing it.
Well, just to clarify, because you have also had a hand in like directing and writing and
That's
all
true.
that stuff. So would that also constitute being the entertainment as well?
It would. However, but all of those things, the directing, the writing, all of that, in my experience, all requires the act of doing the thing that got me there to begin with, which is acting.
Yeah.
So
okay, I hear you. So
Yeah.
you would I definitely see that. Would there be anything that you would have done differently? Would you have preferred not to I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering if, in your opinion, like, if you could reset this year, rewind it back with all the experience that you have right now,
Sure.
right? Would you have done anything differently from what you've done this past year?
It's a very good question. This is outside of college.
Just right out. You just graduated, and you're stepping out there, still in your cap and gown.
Yeah.
And you know that the plans have been set already, but you still have the chance to do, if you can follow along with it, or you can deviate. Would you deviate?
I wouldn't deviate much. I think that in many ways, I could see a lot of paths where, if I did do something different, it might just lead me back to where I am now.
I see.
I think I wish I was a little bit more socially proactive this year.
Me too.
I think that the best thing, I mean, I sort of forgave myself about it because, you're in a new place.
Yeah.
You're still trying to get settled. You still need a job. I mean, having a job in general is good. Just, for structure, for money. We've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I mean, I'm an introvert, so it's very easy for me to kind of like curl up into my little turtle shell and be like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to watch baseball and just go to sleep. But the thing is, like, it is kind of better when I have the structure, and I do kind of need that. So I've sort of been pushing myself to get a little bit more out there and be more part of the performing scene, because I know that at a certain point it is kind of medicinal. So
I agree with you. I think that, so for me, it would have also been to keep the job, just like you. For you, it's your Prince job. Maybe I would have thought that you would have said like that you would maybe have shot for a job earlier, because
I tried. I did try to shoot for jobs earlier, but the difference was in my perspective. I was going about all the applications the right way. It's just a shit market. But then I later realized, as I was going through it, that it wasn't really the same thing that I thought I wanted to get into. It was just something that I could use. And this is not for everybody, but for me, this became like this thing where I could conflate my passion and pragmatism into one thing, rather than thinking about what I would actually be doing. Is it about the industry, or is it about the job?
Yeah. I feel a very, very similar way to you in terms of how a job has, even though, yes, a job comes with stress, a job comes with like, oh my gosh, I gotta wake up and I gotta do this and that and this and that. But like the structure in there, we've talked about this before. Yes,
Yep.
we have. But I do think that now more than ever, I am so wholeheartedly behind that as being a key component in people's lives. Like, because for me, as a teacher, I do get like some school holidays off, and I'll get a
Yeah.
whole week off, and I kid you not, without that structure in me, I just burn that week. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, you're supposed to rest, there's of course and everything, but I can totally see myself like if I ever do quit my job or if I ever do lose my job, and to have this vast amount of time just allocated to me to kind of you have to be the most the person with the most self control in the world
Yeah.
to at least to be like at least like similar in productivity to someone who has a job, like who's working and continuously, like they have to follow the schedule, because I see a lot of benefits to having a schedule, to having a career or a job or something that kind of you can structure your life around it.
Yeah.
And I've just observed my own perspective, just observing myself like burning through like a week or just a couple of days, and I'm just like I'm resting and everything, but in reality it's like, look at what you guys do during the summer when you get out of college. You have like that the whole summer to kind of just like kind of chill and veg, and that thing just flies by. And that's the thing, is that if you expand that to like a year to 2 years to 3 years post grad, if you don't establish yourself with some kind of career, you're not doing like a particular job, or you're not like already like actively seeking out career opportunities and stuff like that, highly, that's something that we should be shooting for. The thing is that the market
Yeah.
is so bad, and it's continuing to get worse. It looks
Yep.
it looks like it's going on that downward trend this whole time, even with the graduation speeches that we've seen from. I mean, like
Those are
there
so
is a
bad.
lot of push
They're so bad.
for just like a complete overhaul of like. Yeah, I don't want to keep talking about AI, but like data centers and everything that have been set up and everything. They
Meta
don't-
just laid off like 10% of their staff.
and
Yeah.
there's so many people who are getting put out of their jobs, and I think that is what I'm really concerned about too, because we just talked about how jobs are so important as a structure for someone's life. You take that away, we're gonna have a lot less productivity from humans, maybe more productivity from systems. But I don't see this as a positive thing at all. Like, this is just I don't see how this is going to be good, because as our human population is increasing, where's the jobs? Where are the jobs? We're not getting jobs anywhere
Right now.
right now.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We're not seeing it right now, and the rate at which we're seeing a lot of this technological advancement is scary. We're definitely not seeing the return on that. And just to kind of like put things into perspective, one thing that I found has been helpful is to kind of just read between the lines of all the corporate speak. For instance, with with career services.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Look, this is something that every university does. They want to show their statistics and how their
Yes.
post-grad statistics are. I saw something, I'm not going to say where, but I saw something that said that 95 or 96% of the graduating class was either pursuing further education, employed, or volunteering. And I have not seen the volunteering before. That one is new. So they're all trying to spin it, and it's like, okay, that's I haven't seen that before.
Even pursuing further education, and it can sometimes be like, many people pursue further education for different reasons, of course, and some people are really like, it's the definite next step. If you're like, if the profession that you're looking for, needs that, right?
Yeah.
But there's also, there's this whole like TikTok, Insta trend of that, like, oh, I can't find a job, might as well just get into more debt
No.
and go back and do
No.
further education. But so many people have been doing that. That's the thing. So
Yeah.
that's the weird numbers that you that gets added into that 95-96% statistic.
Yeah.
Those people are still lumped in there. Even it's
Yeah.
not saying like, they can't find a job, but no, 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 it's not that I can find a job. I'm just doing further education, and not to knock on further education. I'm just saying that it is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of money that you have and time that you're chucking into further education, for something that is like, is it necessary for your job? That's the question.
I mean, it sounds like what you're talking about right now is more like master's degrees.
yeah,
right?
masters and any kind of degrees.
Well, I mean, with PhDs, I mean, ideally you're getting full funding, so like it's
yeah,
still, like,
yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit. But I mean, in general, I agree with you. I mean, like a lot of these programs, not all of them, but a lot of them are cash cows, and you do kind of need to, like, are you doing like, are you doing it because you love it, or are you just punting? Because like I've kind of seen that with some of my friends, like they just kind of punted, and now they're kind of in the same position that we were when
But
we
you just have
graduated.
1 year after. You
Yeah.
just have you lost a year or two, and
Yeah.
you're a little more in
Yeah.
debt.
Yeah. And like, I mean, like me personally, like I am planning on going back to school, but this like gap year phase that I'm in right now, and I found it's kind of healthy to like phrase it as a gap year, because that is kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Is all of this stuff, all these experiences that I have right now, is all enhancing my perspective on what I will ultimately study and pursue.
Yeah.
It's very good to be intentional about what it is that you're doing. Otherwise, like, I mean, like if I stayed in school, I'd probably be studying, trying to get like a master's in sociology. What am I going to do with that? So it's really one of those things. I mean, I would love to go back to school. I'd love to do research and do a thesis and maybe become a professor, but I mean, you have to know what
Yeah.
it is that you're getting into. You can't just do it to punt.
100%. I
Yeah.
100% agree
Yeah.
with you. And I'll just like to add on to that.
Yeah.
I think there should, I would say like 90% of people
Yeah.
should not be pursuing their masters or their further studies or their whatever
Yeah.
right after undergraduate. I don't think it's a good idea. Like,
Unless you're getting like a full ride.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely exceptions
Yeah.
and stuff, but like I just think the majority of people should not be doing it, because it really did make me, like, when I went and started working. Okay, I love teaching. I realized I love teaching, and I understand the structure of like the career of education. And if I want to pursue the career of education, how will be doing a master's help this career? Or how would doing a PhD help with this career? Can I see myself working in this career as a full-time employee, for example, like coming home from work, doing this rinse and repeat 5 days a week? Like, okay, I can really see myself doing this. Okay, now I want to do this for the education. I should be going back and I should be doing stuff like that. That is when I think that it's a right call. Like, you know the costs, you know what it's like to do that, and then you're making that choice. I just think that going straight out of undergraduate, it's just like you're taking a risk. Yeah, you're punting it. That's as you would say.
Yeah, it's a risk, and I mean, look, again, everyone's situation is different, but I mean, like, it is something to, like, you're gonna have to dive into that uncertainty eventually. Now, going back to the point that you said about just the job market being ass,
Believe me, I've been there like for about a year. And there's kind of one thing there are two things I would say that I've kind of learned, and there's stuff that I'm kind of utilizing. And if, people want to, hear it or take it and run with it, by all means. If you think it's stupid, whatever. But the first thing is that all experience is educational in some way. I mean, it could be good, it could be bad, or neither, but you're still learning as you're doing. Like, take it from a writing perspective, right? I mean, you could be walking, driving through town or walking through a city, and you see something weird, and maybe you don't have a positive reaction necessarily, but you might have good content in a week. And all that stuff enhances your life perspective. I mean, all the films that I created in school, like all that, like I wouldn't be able to, make like there was this one funny scene where there was like this blowhard in a class who was like talking about like Marxism and all that in this one film that I made.
Oh,
Yeah.
the last one you
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
But like I wouldn't have been able to write that if I hadn't seen that. Like it's that kind of thing. So like, don't knock the experience because you'll still get it. Maybe it's not going to be, the most, glorifying, glamorous thing, but it could still
benefit your perspective now when you do make that glamorous thing. The second thing, and this is related to more like the external threats that we're dealing with the bad economy and AI. Here's the thing: anybody can soapbox about how bad it is.
What we're doing now.
Yeah, that's right. But what nobody can 100% do is predict the future. That's not possible for any one person. And like shit, what was I gonna say? Like that guy who predicted the elections. Like he did it for like 30 years, and then he got so arrogant, and then he got it wrong last year and just lost credibility. Like you don't want to be like that guy. I don't know, but I look. We don't know what it's gonna be like. That means I think there's something to, instead of looking at the industries that are the safest, not just like whether that's entertainment or healthcare or education, whatever. Instead of looking at the sectors, I think it's better to focus on the skills that you have now, the ones that you want to cultivate when you're straight out of school. Because right now, like, you know, you're still figuring out what you're good at, the lifestyle that you want to lead, like, and when you don't know what's going to happen in the future, I mean, as technology gets more advanced and more smarter, you're still going to need people who are experts, who are going to be above that and know the mechanisms, not necessarily of AI. It does not need to be AI, but just general knowledge that other things otherwise wouldn't have. And that's always going to continue to go up. And you can be that person. You can develop the skills, and I would say that now is a better time to do that than when you're, 10, 15 years later and you have a mortgage and kids and, far more expenses. This is a time when you can really capitalize on that. And I mean, times like these, you need to find some ways to move forward, and that's how I do it. So,
yeah, that's and what an answer for the initial question that sparked it. Telling, what would you tell yourself a year ago? The one who just walked the stage and who's just like, bright eyes, I'm ready for post-college life. And I think that there's a lot of undergraduates, now graduates, who are in that position now. They're taking the little week or month-long breaks before they start their careers, or they are starting their schools, education, upper education. And I think that we should all be very, very aware of what we're doing and really like make those choices for ourselves, because don't just go with the flow, or don't just go with what you think everyone else is doing. So I guess I'll do it. If everyone else is doing higher education, I guess I'll do higher education just for the sake of doing higher education. Like, make those choices with like reason behind them, and the experience that is the important thing. You're both ways. You're going to higher education or you're doing a career. Both are experiences, but one pays.
The other one you pay.
The other one you pay. So before you start paying, and especially if you don't have the money for that, you should 100%. I just think you should really, really prioritize the experience where you actually get paid.
There are some exceptions, but they're few and far between. Like, one of them is like if you know that you want to work in like personal care, they value the degree. You're a teacher, so you can speak more on this than me. But I have heard that having a master's, if you want to be a teacher,
get a little bit more money,
can help. But if you think it's going to give you the edge in the corporate worlds, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very different. It's not a knock on education, but I mean, you have to know what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that.
I know this video is running a little long, but actually this just reminded me of like, there is a caveat as well to what I was saying about like just any kind of career, any kind of thing like that, because yes, careers, you should get the experience of working somewhere and everything, but also like, don't get too comfortable, because I actually was part of I was helping my school with the hiring fair just like this past week. So
really?
This is fresh in my head right now. Okay. And not using any names, nothing like that, but we were this institution that I was part of, we were hiring for some people to come and join us, and for me, I was just like, oh, these people are so cool and everything, and it's cool meeting people. But the school that I was representing is pretty ruthless. Like they'll be looking through your resume and they'll be like, this person graduated in 2018, and they could have started teaching right off the bat, or they could start teaching the year after that. But instead, now in 2026, they are just saying that they want to apply to be a starting teacher. Like, what were they doing? And then they looked at the past experiences and they were like, this is something that they could have, like, why were they doing this that is not challenging enough? We want to see people who are willing to take the challenge and stuff. So those people were written off right off the bat. They didn't stand a chance. And it's just like, wow, I didn't know how ruthless. I'm using that negatively, but I get it. You have to really want to pick the employees that you think will stand out, that will push hard, that will succeed in a challenging environment. So if you are thinking of all these things, you should not be just being like, okay, for the next 10 years, I'm just gonna veg, and then maybe I'll apply for a job later on. Like that's also another big thing to like consider.
I agree.
Yeah. But with that, that's a little, just a little about 5 cents.
Yep.
For each of us giving that little bit
It'll
of
go up to
perspective.
10 cents if we get a master's degree.
Hell yeah! That we're
I'm
just
kidding.
on our perspectives on jobs and education and what it's like post grad, just like freshly post grad. And yeah, we really want to hear what you guys think as well. And I mean, of course, everyone's experience is a little different, and with that, people will have different opinions. But we would love to hear your opinions. Our opinions are not set in stone, and they're not the golden, theory. But this is just our perspectives, and we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching us.
We'll see you next time, and until then, I'm Ben Sofer.
And I'm Noelian. Bye bye now.